I'm Jay Taylor. I'm the editor of Jay Taylor's Gold Energy and Tech Stocks, and I'm here in Vancouver with Chris Taylor. He's the president and CEO of one of my favorite companies. I think one of the favorite companies of many investors these days, Great Bear Resources, because they're having a phenomenal discovery. I also have been privileged to have Chris as a guest on my radio show, Turning Hard Times into Good Times, and a lot of very popular response to that discussion, and for good reasons, because when people start making money, they're kind of happy. But anyway, I'm happy as a shareholder. Chris, I'm really glad that we could sit down and talk again. I must say that I looked at your most recent press release, and I was just sitting there shaking my head, and my wife knows I went up to lunch to discuss it. Over lunch I discussed it, and I said, I can't believe this is better than great. You had a phenomenal discovery to begin with, traditional discovery on your Dixie property in Red Lake, the famous Red Lake district, and that was considered to be a traditional Red Lake discovery, a high-grade vein system.
Correct, yeah.
And that was good enough. I mean, it lifted your share price, I think, in U.S. dollars from something like 40 cents when I picked it up to a couple of bucks.
Yep.
Yeah, you did. Really happy.
Great call.
And there was and that was somewhere a little bit to the west of this Dixie. It was called the Limb, Dixie Limb fault zone, which is a really long structure. And then you started poking along around that structure, and you came into a different style of mineralization, I think, just a few months ago, the Bear-Renimbi or Rimini?
Bear-Ramini, I know it's a mouthful.
Bear-Ramini.
Yes.
And you discovered a different kind of mineralization, and as I understand it, high-grade veins, but disseminated gold between those veins. So you have wide intercepts of reasonably, and then high-grade zones. Talk a little bit about what that means in terms of the potential economics of this project.
Okay, I'm happy to talk about that. It's obviously very much at the forefront of my mind these days. So this LP fault zone, it's about 20 kilometers long on our project, which is really big. And what really makes it interesting is that it has a new style of gold mineralization for this district. So most of the Red Lake area, the gold is in these high-grade quartz veins. And like you were alluding to, if you held up veins like fingers on your hand, you would have gold in a vein, absolutely nothing, gold in a vein, absolutely nothing, and the same thing repeats. And this is the standard. This is incredibly profitable mining. When Newmont and Goldcorp have done it, it was one of the most profitable mines in the world, the main Red Lake gold mine. But the new stuff that we found, it's disseminated high-grade gold in the host rock. So that big structure goes through. Obviously, it was a wonderful provider of gold-bearing fluids, and you get high-grade zones of gold, and they're flanked by these wide intervals of lower-grade mineralization. And you don't usually get to say disseminated and high-grade in the same sentence. So to find this kind of mineralization going right to surface, it's just something we didn't expect to see on this scale, and we're very happy with the work that we've been doing on it.
Yeah, for sure. And so as I understand, there's three targets or three zones that you've discovered so far along a 3.5 kilometer strike along the LP.
Yep.
What do you plan to do? Are you going to be stepping out along the LP to the north and to the south as well?
Correct, yeah. Right now we have 3 drill rigs on the project. All of them are on this LP fault zone and successively stepping out further and further to see if and where the limits of that gold mineralization are going to be. And it's an incredible process. It's a little bit like a Christmas morning kind of problem when you're the guy or the geologist with the company, because you put the hole into a new setup and it might be a kilometer away from your last one. And remember, most gold deposits will fit within a few hundred meters of strike length.
Right.
If you can step out with a drill rig over a kilometer and hit the same rock with the same gold in it again, just something none of us expected to see on this scale.
And then, again, your traditional Red Lake discovery, which you had, and very close actually to the LP.
Correct.
That was more traditional, without the dissemination in between the veins, but now you're seeing the best of both worlds, I guess. And so I would guess that might have some real good potential for bulk mining potentially sometime in the future.
Certainly, yeah.
So you're not just narrow veins, but potentially an ability to scoop up a lot of volume, a lot of rock. Potentially more economic than, as good as the Goldcorp project was, the Red Lake discovery. It was phenomenal. It was one of their lowest cost producers.
But it still was all underground mining.
Right.
And in what we're looking at now with all this
Near
gold
surface.
being distributed near surface, I mean, even the high-grade vein-hosted stuff that we have found in the Hinge and the Dixie Limb zone, that all projects down right to surface. Like, effectively, there's a few meters of a gravel cover on top of it, but you're into the gold-bearing bedrock right below that. So, yeah, exactly what you're saying, Jay. The economic implications in the future could be very significant for that.
Well, we say could be, and you'll need to do a lot more drilling and infill drilling and so forth before you can start to come up to 43101 standards.
Correct.
And start to talk about it. When might we start to see some 43101 resource numbers? At the same time, you're looking at this mammoth structure, 20 kilometers long, that you're going to want to step out. I suppose as long as you're continuing to find the same rocks, the same kind of grade mineralization, you're going to want to keep stepping out. So, I mean, it's one of these stories where the bigger it gets, the longer it takes to really kind of figure out what's the value of this thing. But what is your time horizon on this?
It is a rock star kind of problem to have, and that really encapsulates it. Is the bigger it gets, the bigger your system looks, the more you're shooting your shareholders in the foot if you constrain any smaller part of it too early.
Right.
And there are very few deposits globally that have the sort of potential for continuous strike links that we're looking at right now with what we see at this LP fault. So it's, I think what we need to do is figure out the limits of the system, where it ends, you know, and then test it vertically. We've only done that in the new zones to 500 meters so far, and it's still going. We actually got multiple zones going down to 500 meters depth from surface. It's incredible if you think about how much that is. And but let's figure out how it is, how big it is. I couldn't really put a finger on a map and point to where the center of the system is yet because I don't have that information yet. So where's the highest grade zone? I don't know. You know, where is it widest? I don't know. But we're going to figure that out with all this reconnaissance drilling. And once we have those constraints, we have about $18.5 million in the bank now. So we're not going to run out of money to drill anytime
That's very
soon.
important.
So we definitely have the runway to be able to constrain the system that way and expand it, and then we can start thinking about the resource drilling.
Well, it's just really great the way you have it structured. The structure, the equity structure is always very important, and you have people that are the stock is in strong hands. They're not going to let it go. And the fact that you can drill on your finance to drill and to try to test the limits of this system, it's very exciting. So I mean, I don't want to get greedy or anything, Chris. I must say, as a shareholder who bought in early, I'm very, very pleased.
Thank you.
But, you know, something about me wants more. And I want to know how are you going to keep the wolves from attacking too soon? I mean, the structure seems to be an important part of that strategy, but is it something you think about from time to time? I'm sure you must.
Oh, this is
as a major shareholder.
Exactly. I've been putting a lot of my own time and money into this for many years. So what we want to see is our current shareholders make as much money as possible. That's what drives me. That's right. It drives us. That's what gets me out of bed in the morning. So for the strategy for keeping the wolves at bay, one of the things that you can do, and it sounds maybe it's a little fluffy to say it, but you can outthink them sometimes. And in this sense, the geological team headed by our VP Exploration, Bob Singh, these guys are so competent that they've been staying ahead of the industry's understanding of this project based on many years of work that were done on it before. Nobody found this stuff. Sometimes there was drill holes within 50 meters or 75 meters of what we're finding now, and they terminated that drilling too early. All we did to make one of the discoveries recently, the Yuma zone, was extend drill holes that somebody else drilled or look at drill core they never assayed. So one of the things we can do is be clever, be quick, expand it quickly, efficiently, and think about that capital structure and keeping it in good hands. Keep the dilution low, keep the shareholdings in good hands, and make sure that then it's very difficult to try to absorb something like Great Bear because we know that our shareholders are on the same page as us. They want to make a lot of money off of their positions.
Sure. Tight share capital, and I would say intellectual capital, what you just talked about, the ability to go back and look what others have done and learn from it and study it and not drill stupid holes, but drill educated holes. And you've been remarkably successful in terms of your hit ratio too, which is, I think, an attribute to yourself and your team in the ability to put the drill hole down in the right place. So.
Well, they're an excellent team, and you know, I'm a geologist myself, a structural geologist by training, and I've worked in 3 mines that have gone into production. It doesn't mean I'm not calling the shots on this drill program on a daily basis. It's Bob and the team that he has working with him, like Rimini Consulting. But I'm supportive, very supportive, and the board of Great Bear is very supportive of that science-first approach. So drill smart, and that's where the value comes in for shareholders. Don't cut corners. Make sure that you understand what you're seeing, use that data, and it seems to be a scenario that works out really well, or a strategy that works out really well.
It certainly has been. We're going to be watching carefully for those press releases. They'll be coming out on a pretty regular basis because you have a very aggressive drill program.
Correct.
Really looking forward to continuing this story in my newsletter as well as on the radio show. It helps to bring people to the radio show too, I must say, when people start making money. My radio show numbers are going up, so we're very pleased about your success. I want to thank you very much for taking the time, Chris.
Excellent. Always happy to talk with you, Jay.
Great to talk with you.
Yeah, thank you.